Hello, you may. Oh my God, we're live, and I just did completely miss the intro, which is absolutely fantastic. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you well. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I can hear you completely miss the intro.
Oh man. All right. So this is absolutely solid, guys. This is probably the worst intro ever. But welcome to the Indie Creative Comics Podcast. We're just so razzle dazzle today because we have just so much going on. If you're brand new to the podcast, yeah, John and I are here every Monday just talking about independent, small press comics off the shelves and giving our 2 cents on them. This is episode 178 of the Indie Comic Review. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. How are you? Happy Monday.
Oh my God, happy Monday. Jesus effing yes. It's all good. Yeah, we've been kind of I guess in a good way. It's been busy. So we got projects in the back burner because, as most of you know, if you're brand new, Indie Creative Comics is also a small publishing company. So we've got some books that we're putting out, updating the website and Kickstarters and campaigns. And then on top of that, we're here every week reviewing comics. And then on top of that, we've got interviews coming up as well with some peeps that we had. We just had Malcolm McFadden of 516 Comics. Really cool guy. Got his Kickstarter.
615.
That's what I said. Yeah, he got his Kickstarter launched and he got it funded fully, which was great. I think he ended up with just a little bit over 100. Yeah, to back them, which is fantastic. So, yeah, he's doing well. His book, what I think was called King's Domain. So if you go over to Kickstarter and look up King's Domain, you can definitely find it there as well. We've got some more guests lined up. I think we have somebody for today that we're really looking forward to. Andrew, I'm going to butcher his last name. I think it's Kafori.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Of Battle Quest Comics.
We'll know later. Yeah.
We'll know later for sure. So look out for that Indie Creative Spotlight later on this week. We're going to keep this one short and quick because we do have stuff that we have lined up for today that we got to get done. But we do have some books for you to review. Not books for you to review, us reviewed and us to talk about. So really quickly, we're going to hop in. I'm going to start first because this one is actually a Kickstarter book, and it is called Time Sensitive. Now, so far, I think I've reviewed, 3 books, right? This is probably the 4th one. Immortal Coil is one of the first ones that I had out there. We highly recommend it. So if you go to Kickstarter, just look up Immortal Coil. I think they're getting ready to launch the next issue, which is issue 3 off of that. So really looking forward to that. This one, so pleasantly surprised. I love when I order something from Kickstarter and it just blows my mind. This was really, really good. But let me just get the credits out of the way really quickly. So Time Sensitive, they do have an imprint called Strangeland Comics. So if you go to strangelandcomics.com, you can actually see what they're offering there, and it'll take you to the Kickstarter. I'll put the link in the bio as well. The writer is Joshua Rubin. Artist is George Colho. Colorist is Kay Worsher, and letters by Mika Myers. Really quickly, time travel. Opens up to a really crazy scene. You got an LA cop who is at a scene. This guy who's lost his mind has his son captured and threatening to kill him. And so we see this cop kind of like sneak in while he's talking to, I believe, his wife on the phone, and they're having a conversation. It's just insane. But he actually ends up saving the kid, meeting his wife later on. They're at a gas station. They're talking and arguing because she wants to have kids. She wants to have a family. And he's like, listen, you know what I do. You know what type of, what I think of the world and stuff like that. I just don't want to raise kids. Eventually he gives in, right? Then goes pump gas. He's talking to her. Turns around. Guess what? Disappears. Out of nowhere. He can't find her. Runs inside the gas station. See my wife? Dude, I have no idea what you're talking about. Runs home. She's not there. Goes to his mom's house and says, where's so-and-so? I forgot her name. And the mom is like, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? And he's like, what do you mean? Where is she? And she turns around. She says, she's been dead for 6 years. And I went, holy fuck, what the hell's going on? So he ends up going to some kind of like psychiatrist or whatever it is. And he recommends that he joins this group because there's like-minded people. They're people that have been broken, that are living memories that never happened, is what they're saying. And so he ends up going to this group, and there's a bunch of people there that have experienced the same thing, that they've lived these lives that have never happened. But there's one girl there that actually believes them and says, what if this is real, kind of thing. So they end up connecting together. And the way that it pretty much ends is that she convinces him that everything that he's experienced is actually real. And there's somebody out there that is erasing people's lives, like erasing them out of existence. Dude, it was so unique and really well written. The art in here is fantastic. The coloring, just the creative team on this was great. So like I said, this is a Kickstarter project called Time Sensitive. Really pleased whenever we have, you know, a Kickstarter that does a really solid job. These guys over at Strangeland Comics, they knocked it out of the park with this. So if you want something that's really cool, time travel, just kind of just nipped it in the bud and turn it on its heels for that particular genre, yeah, check them out.
Very cool.
Time Sensitive. Yeah, dude, it was really good. I can't wait for you to read that.
No, thank you. Yeah, definitely check it out.
Yeah.
All
right. Next book. You got
All right. So the next one is from Boom Studios. It is called The Center Holds. And so get right to the credits here, because you basically have two industry heavyweights working on this book. And then there's a little bit of story behind this as well. So written by Larry Hama, illustrated by M.D. Doc Bright, colored by Josh Burcham, letter by Janice Chang. And it is assistant edited by Ari Yarwood and edited by Tim Finn. Boom has an executive editor of Tia Fogner and an editor-in-chief of Andy Schmidt. So Larry Hama, if you do or do not know,
G.I. Joe.
I was going to say former MASH actor turned legendary G.I. Joe comic book writer.
No way. Was he on MASH, really?
He was on like one episode of MASH. Yeah, he was an actor,
gosh.
and then but he was also a military guy. And obviously that shows, because he went on to basically create everything we know about classic G.I. Joe. Not only did he write and continues to write the G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, original flavor comic book, rolling in right now at 325 issues.
Insane.
And counting. But he also wrote all the file cards on the back of the action figures. So he was very much involved in the development of these characters, their personalities, not only in the comic, but also, on the toys themselves. Didn't really touch the cartoon show. And yes, there were certain things that he would have to weave into the comic because, Hasbro, requested this, and he was that was part of the contract. But you could always tell characters that Larry didn't like, that he was forced to introduce, because once he didn't need to use them anymore, he would kill them. So that was the great thing about the old G.I. Joe comic book, was that the stakes were high. Not everybody jumped out of planes.
You suck, you die.
Yeah. And then the artist is the late great Mark M.D. Doc Bright. He had his hand in so many comics from the 70s, the 80s to the 90s, 2000s. Unfortunately, passed away in 2024. But basically, he was healthy run on Green Lantern. He is one of the co-creators of Milestone Media, one of DC's creator-owned imprints from the early 90s. He co-created Icon, right, for that group. Just a stellar artist, a really great draftsman. Even worked with Larry on G.I. Joe for a time, and also, like Larry Hama, a musician. They both were in a band called the Chaotix. Larry was it's a blues rock band based in New York. Larry was vocals and guitar, and Doc Bright played bass. The Center Holds is their stab at creating yet another superhero universe. And one of the interesting things about this is that it is front-loaded with a lot of world building in a very almost Larry Hama-esque G.I. Joe way. Larry Hama is great with action, but he's also a tech nerd. So everything is very technical as well. And there's a lot of tech on these characters. You do have your analogs. You have your Superman analog named Apex. You have your Batman analog named Keeper. and you kind of really follow this one girl named Cyber, and I believe she's the one with the running narration, which is really just a long form essay on the nature of heroics and humanity and what causes normal people to want to be heroes, what helps other people, or what makes superpowered hero people want to be heroes versus villains and things like that. So it's a lot of food for thought. It is a very dense, text heavy first issue, but there's some great action sequences. There's some great, like the villain they fight he's called The Right, and he's got a big elephant headed mask, and he speaks in a lot of comic booky alliteration, which I found a lot of fun. There's a superhero union, and you get to sit in on one of their meetings as they are voting on inducting a new member who, another great bit, he has a symbol. His symbol is his name, but as he says, it is unpronounceable. It is just a symbol. So we're going to see where that goes. There's a lot of promise on the cover that it does not play out in this first issue. So this will probably continue. There is going to be a next issue. Unfortunately, I don't know how far into this Doc Bright got before he passed. Clearly, he did finish the first issue. This started as an idea that he brought to Larry Hama with the help of editor Tim Finn. There's some really great write-ups from Tim and Larry in the inside back cover, just a tribute to Doc Bright. If you like superhero stories in the vein of Astro City by Kurt Busiek and Brett Anderson, this is up your alley. If you like tech heavy human exploration action beats like G.I. Joe, 325 issues plus, this is right up your alley. If you like traditional competent superhero art with some really great details that you can pour over, this is also for you. Also, proceeds do go to the Hero Initiative, which a portion of the proceeds do go to a Hero Initiative, which does help comic creators with medical issues. Because again, a lot of these guys, as it says also in the back matter, do this as work for hire. There's no medical plan from the companies. There's no, these guys are freelance, so they have to really provide their own medical care. Doc was sick for a lot of years before he passed, and I think received a lot of help from the Hero Initiative. And I'm sure portions of these proceeds will also go to his family and those left behind in the wake of his passing. One living legend, one legend who's no longer with us, but this is a great testimonial to decades of friendship and decades of hard work in the comic industry by two guys at this point at the top of their game. Give it a shot.
Yeah, cool. And that's why the price point is $5.99, because a portion is going to the Heroes Initiative, which is a great cause. I agree with everything that John said. I think I'm going to give this another issue, only because I think what they did in this first issue is they introduced so many characters, and I think it's really hard to not introduce the amount of characters, but to give them something that you can attach yourself to. So you have the main protagonist who you're following through, so you get to know more about her than anybody else. They almost feel like ancillary characters right now, and I'm hoping they can be brought to the forefront because there's some really cool stuff in here. So Center Holes from Boom, check it out.
Narratively, it is a lot of moving pieces.
Yes.
But again, Larry Hama, cast of hundreds in G.I. Joe. So this is a guy who really knows how to keep all that moving. And it was text heavy, but it didn't feel bogged down by any of that. Yeah. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And it's funny because you say that, because I think in G.I. Joe, when you're familiar with the content, the moving of scenes from one to another, especially when you're familiar with the scenes, doesn't distract too much. But when it's brand new and you have no idea who these characters are or kind of like the setting that they're in, the jumping around from scene to scene, I was like, whoa, this didn't finish. We're going over here now. And then you kind of come back to some of that stuff later on. So if you like the superhero trope, check it out. It's definitely up your alley there. Okay, I'm moving on. So we have next from Vertigo. Yes, they're back. We were talking about this, and we'll keep this really short, but we were contemplating on whether or not we wanted to even do Vertigo, only because we didn't know if the same rules still applied from when they existed before, which means that they were creator owned. So we're assuming, we don't know officially, or I don't at least, unless John, do you know?
As far as I know, they do still do the creator owned, because in the credits right there, they do have a created by credit. And I do believe that, yes, I feel it's like, well, yes, it's work for hire. It's their own creations. I'll get to that in a second, unless you want me to go into this now, because of what this new Vertigo structure is versus what old Vertigo structure was.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Vertigo was basically a creator-owned imprint it became a creator-owned imprint that DC created in the early 90s, sort of in response to a few things. We always look at the rise of Image as leading this charge. Again, out of that, DC also had the Milestone Media, which we've talked about. But also DC was having a lot of success with their mature readers branded titles. And a lot of those titles really did have to do with DC characters like Swamp Thing, Hellblazer, Sandman, things that had Animal Man, things that had really Doom Patrol, also things that had started to take a life of their own, and kind of were becoming more than the confines of the DC universe, and were really also creator driven as well, when like Grant Morrison got a hold of it, Alan Moore on Swamp Thing, lather, rinse, repeat, and here we go. So the Vertigo imprint took those mature readers DC characters, move them over to the imprint, cut their ties with the DC universe for the most part, and then added a lot of creator-owned stuff like 100 Bullets, Preacher, Why the Last Man. All of these were Vertigo things that again were their own thing, were not connected to the greater universe, and it was chugging along for a really long time until basically Karen Berger, who was Vertigo for the most part, left. And then DC started a new imprint called Black Label as they wound down Vertigo. And then they took those characters that had been Vertigo but started DC Universe, folded them back into the DC Universe, but then would use mainstream DC characters in out-of-continuity, darker, mature tales in this Black Label thing, as well as creator-owned horror, mature readers theme stuff like Tinian's Nice House on the Lake, right? So now Black Label will still continue, but that will strictly be for characters that are owned by DC, but those IP characters in stories that don't fit into the regular mainstream superheroic fare. Vertigo is now back as a fully creator-owned, profit sharing, I believe, mature readers imprint. And again, so 100 Bullets is coming back. Who knows if we'll get any other revivals? Books like Nice House, which were Black Label, are now Vertigo branded. And here we have with Bleeding Hearts #1, which is literally the first launch of this new Vertigo imprint. And and they really are giving a big push. Absolute Superman 16 had a nice 5-page preview of this book. So they're really, trying to get this out there. And that's where we are.
Yep. So we'll see how far it goes, especially with the big two. They're just so big on trying new things, and if it doesn't work within the first 3 to 6 months, it's canned with no reason. There'll just be nothing. You can have a mini series of 6 issues. One comes out, doesn't do well, and all of a sudden 2 doesn't come out. So hold your breath. We'll see what happens. All right, so Bleeding Hearts, creative team. You got Dennis Camp as the writer. Artist is Stipan Morian. Who else do we have here? Colorist Matt Hollingsworth. Here, awesome. And who's doing letters? Hassan Otsmani El Ahu. We've had him before.
All over the place, this guy.
Yes, all over the place. Okay, really quickly. Zombie trope. It's not The Walking Dead though. But it does some really cool stuff that we haven't seen in a zombie book lately, which is have sort of like intelligent zombies. And when I say intelligent, I mean really loosely. They can communicate with one another. They can actually talk. If you look at the cover, you got your main character. His name is Poke, and then just behind them are 2 humans. On his left side and on the right side is his best friend called Mush. Now, what I found really funny in this book is the names aren't, regular names that we use, but they're names that describe what they've either done or have or do. Where Mush is short for, and I'm paraphrasing here, mushroom on shoulders that talk to him. That's his name. and then narrow it down to mush. And then you got poke, who is mouse who pokes out of hole in head kind of thing. And then they narrow it down to just poke. So I thought that was kind of fun and unique. But basically, you have these two best friends. One has sort of like this conundrum because all of a sudden he's feeling something in his chest. Now we know the dead they're dead. They're not alive. No heartbeat or anything, but he's starting to feel his heartbeat. And you can hear it in the sound effects they have portrayed in the comic. So there's something that he's starting to struggle with internally, and they're having this dialogue with him and Mush, and while Mush is like bashing somebody's brains in or whatever it is, and then he's offering him a finger to eat, and he doesn't want to eat it, and he says, "What's wrong with you? You're going through this thing," or whatever it is. So there's a lot of this exposition that's going on, giving a lot of context to this world that they're building in regards to zombies are taking over the earth. The human population is dwindling down because they're pretty much eating everything in sight. Not just humans, they'll eat animals, anything that pretty much just walks. That's not a zombie. And then you have Poke, who's contemplating, what's going on within him. So that's basically where we're at with this particular book. The way that it ends is the humans that are on your left-hand side there, they actually run into them at the end. It's him who runs into him while Mush is in another room. So obviously there's going to be a decision that he needs to make in regards to whether he's going to give up these humans so they can get eaten, or is he going to save them? That was the only thing that for me, because we've been doing this for so long, I like surprises, but I kind of knew that was coming towards the end. It's no flaw of the book. It's not to say that the book was not good. I actually really enjoyed it. The art is really great. Who was the artist on this again? Who did I say? Give me 1 second, because there was a little bit of Stepan Morian. So there's almost an influence of Sam Keith in a lot of the panels, which I really, 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 really like. And the color and just the layout's really, really great. Like I said, there is a lot of exposition on here, but it's a lot for giving you background of this world and of the different types of zombies. And it's great because they pretty much almost have their own personalities, which you would think they was just all the same, brains kind of thing. But yeah, it was unique that way. And each zombie's drawn differently, so they all have like these different characteristics and stuff like that. So there's going to obviously be some kind of struggle between Mush and Poke, because it's all going to come to a head. So I think this is a mini. I think this is a 6-issue mini. So I definitely want to see where it's going to go in that respects. The other thing that I found really unique is if you look at the actual cover, you see that Poke has one large arm and then one skinny arm. And then if you look at Mush, he has one large arm and one skinny arm. So something happened in their past where I think Poke saved Mush, and his way of saying they want to be best friends forever is he literally ripped off his arm and switched arms with him. So they have each other's arms.
Brothers.
Yeah. So it's funny because it's like, how do you take a trope and flip it on its head? I mean, there was that show, I think years back, called iZombie, which was
also based on a Vertigo comic. Yeah.
Yes.
Very loosely, but yeah.
So it reminded me of that, but then also had that Sam Keith influence, and then where the story is going to go next to see, what kind of decision he's going to make. So yeah, if you like zombie stuff, and there's almost a comedic element to it as well. I found myself chuckling a little bit on this. Really, really cool. Vertigo.
Yeah. It was neat. It reminded me of two things: Warm Bodies, which is that
yes, another one
with new Nicolas Cage, Nicholas Hoult, right? And Zombie Falls in Love. Also remind me a little bit of
that. But his heart wasn't beating. It's when he ran into the human being that it started to beat.
It starts to beat. Yeah. And definitely differences. Also remind me a little bit of that movie Fido, and with Billy Connolly, if you ever saw that, where zombies are basically turned into house pets, and they have like these collars to keep them restrained. One of the neat aspects of this, I think, is like this idea that when you die, your personality dies, and then when you're reanimated as a zombie, you forge a new personality. And I think that's kind of neat. The Sam Keith artwork is just really cool. It's very quirky, weird, and fun. So I did like that. Yeah, and again, my thing with Vertigo is it's creator owned stuff, so I'm still on the fence about this, but unlike Image, yes, is a big company. Dark Horse is a big company. There is big money behind that, but it's not DC money, and so these guys don't necessarily need the exposure because they have the DC money behind them, right?
Right.
But I would say if something like this comes along the pike from Vertigo, yeah, I'm going to want to talk about it too. So.
Yep. Cool. All right, check it out, guys. Bleeding Hearts. All right, do your next one because this is the book that I actually wanted to read. So I'm really interested in knowing what's.
And since I will let you borrow this, I will be a little light on the details as well, so you enjoy what's going on here. This is from Mad Cave, Barbarian Behind Bars, and this is written by Elliot Callan, illustrated by Andrea Muti, lettered by Taylor Esposito, edited by Christina Harrington. And graphic design, David Reyes. Dave Sharp did the logo. Book production, Alexandra Colorado. So this is exactly what it sounds like. It and looks like on the front there. This is let's say you took Owen from Barbaric and popped him into present day, and then he winds up getting arrested because he beheads his mortal enemy in the middle of a big city street in the modern day. And now, granted, there's no talking axe, but there is definitely a mystical element to this. And what's kind of neat is, again, now this is one of those where Centerhold and even Bleeding Hearts were very, very heavy on world building and exposition. This is very streamlined, so it does feel a little slim for a first issue, but you still get a lot of information. You do get to see this barbarian as he exists in the jail system and how he navigates that. But you're also following his public defender because, he is entitled to one, even though he is nothing. There's nothing about him on record, and there's nothing about the guy he killed that's on record. So they really don't know what to do with this guy, but they still know they got to follow procedure with this guy. And the biggest thing that I liked about this, and this is a trope that has been done, even Marvel did it in the old What If days. I think they did 2 What If Conan were in the modern day, and then that became a real thing fairly recently, and we're going to move on from that. But the biggest thing that I loved about this is when you have a man from a place long ago who speaks a very, very different language and dialect that no longer exists, what happens when he comes to the present day? And even more so, what happens if you're their public defender? And this guy's explaining to you how he got there, and we as the reader get to the translation, but she has no idea what he's saying, what's going on, or how she's even going to go about, helping this guy out, even though she doesn't even know, if he needs help. So that's sort of your bare bones, your basic setup for this. There's some really interesting characters that he also interacts with behind bars. It's really interesting. There is a gang that tries to recruit him. Doesn't necessarily go well for them. His cellmate is a guy who is a former Buddhist who talks over extensively about the benefit of not talking as much, but this guy's like a motor mouth, so it's great. It's really neat character work, really neat scenario, really cool situation. Definitely leaves you wanting more in the first issue. Mad Cave, Barbarian Behind Bars. Like I said, if you like stuff like Barbaric, or if you really dug Dork, but you kind of want to see something, that type of character out of their surroundings, a true fish out of water, give this a shot.
All right, so 2 quick questions. Number 1, he killed his antagonist in the very beginning,
like in the second, third page. Yeah, it's just like, because that's like, it's like he's behind bars. Why are you here? Boom, and like the face off. Boom. Yeah, it's great.
All right, number 2, is there anybody who understands him?
Nope.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Not that we've met so far. So it's pretty interesting. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
it's interesting they took him to jail,
right,
and not the psych ward.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Especially if he's wearing a loincloth, no shirt, and walking around with an axe.
Oh,
that's a little troubling and stuff like that. All right.
Well, it's like a holding cell. They got, they got to figure out if he's psychotic or not, even though, he's not speaking the language. But they have this sense, I guess, because of how he's garbed,
right,
that maybe he's from a foreign land. So yeah, it's weird.
That's
Weird.
yeah, you think that would give it away? All right. Barbarian Behind Bars. In that case, yeah, check them out. All right, why don't you move on to the last one?
All right, so we have
Bam.
yet another entry this week from Ignition Again Press, as I like to call them, because every week we have a new Ignition Press book. Ignition Press, founded by great editor Jamie S. Rich, who also edited this book, written by Dennis Hopeless, illustrated, lettered by Bram Ravel, colored by Marisa Louise, and book design and logo by Scott Newman. And this was really neat. This is so. Let's say,
if there's anybody out there listening, if you know what the Ignition Press number on the back is and where you're supposed to look it up, please let us know.
Did you try the site? Yeah, I can't find it
nowhere. So if you know Ignition Press, or if you work for Ignition Press, please tell me. I need to know where to put this number.
All right, I think it's like a bad idea kind of thing, that just this idea that each book has their own, and again, each single copy has its own pressed, embossed in their serial number. And it's like a statue, like statues of, 100 of whatever. We don't know what the print run is. It's just crazy. I just think it's just a thing. Like they want people to ask what it is. It's meaningless. I think it's just a thing. I don't know.
No. It's not meaningless. You know why? Because motto is unlock your destiny, and that's the ignition key, right?
Yeah.
This thing says unlock your story. So it's two different things. If it doesn't do anything, I swear to the Almighty, because it drives me insane. Fucking Ignition Press. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No worries. No, that's fine, because it drives me nuts too. So okay. I guess the best way I could say this is, let's say He-Man and Teela wound up getting married and exist on Earth, and then it doesn't work out, even though they wind up having 2 kids, but then they get divorced, but the eternal battle against darkness continues, because that's kind of what this is. So you basically are, you have this story told by Jordan Savage, who is the youngest of 2 children. He is an aspiring filmmaker, but as he says, his father, who again, mom and dad are divorced. He hasn't seen his dad in a few years. His father, he says, is the most masculine man's man out there. He doesn't know that his dad is one of 2 defenders, sort of holding the line against total darkness, overcoming our present day modern society. The other one is his mom. And so that's sort of your setup. You are introduced to him. I love how it uses his aspiring filmmaking to sort of tell the story, like in his narration. You kind of get the flashbacks as if they're like on a TV screen, as if he's filmed them. There's a great bit where he's arguing with his ex-girlfriend, who still helps him make his movies, even though she's in another state, where their argument, while it's happening over a video chat, the panel narration, or the panel imagery, has them in some sort of Matrix style fight as they're going, verbally going toe to toe about the situation and everything that's going on. Mom is dating a new guy named Gary, who is just going overboard trying to connect with Jordan. His older sister Winter, who is much more like her father, is off for a year-long volleyball camp tour or something like that. Turns out she winds up linking with her dad. They show up at the house just ahead of, again, the rampaging forces of darkness. So now mom's got to power up like a sorceress and fight with her ex-husband, with their kids now witness to all of this, and the poor put upon new boyfriend stuck in the middle. It's really neat stuff, really kinetic, drops you right into everything, I thought, really well, and then caught you up as you needed. But again, not a really heavy premise, pretty basic, but a lot of fun. And I loved Bram's artwork. Really kept things moving. It kept things kinetic. It was really cool.
Yeah, I like the whole family dynamic. It's just funny how the son is in the dark of everything. Like the rest of the family knows about the monsters and everything, and he doesn't. So he has like a WTF moment when the whole thing happens in the living room and stuff like that. And then on top of that, when his mom makes that transformation and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I thought the pacing on it was really great. And a lot of like the narration leading up to the very end of this was really cool and fun. So I'm looking forward to the next issue on this to see what's going on. And then I don't know if that's her boyfriend. I think that's her assistant, right?
Well, what I think is it's not laid out, but it is explained that he is a work friend,
yes,
who has become something more and is always there for. She even says he's there for me when I need him, right? He gives me what I want. Yeah. So I think that is sort of like this burgeoning thing, especially the way he's overly compensating to try and connect with Jordan. And I do love that as much as Jordan isn't this physical athlete, he's not prone to athletics. His only sport he only did because it meant a lot to his dad. But yet he's a storyteller, and the stories that he wants to tell are high octane action adventure stories. Yep. So he's got that adventurous spirit that his dad has, and it's going to be interesting to see, I think, how what goes on, or what's going to be going on, is going to kind of open up something in Jordan and connect him more with his dad. I think it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I think so too. So we'll check that out. Yeah, really cool stuff, guys. All right, so that's bringing us towards the end. So really quickly recapping our first book, which was a Kickstarter campaign, Time Sensitive from Strangeland Comics. Dude, you will not be disappointed. Really just a masterclass in putting out something really well. And it's one of 6, which is crazy because this was like almost 40-something pages. It was fantastic. Cool. And I think the second issue is going to be coming out shortly on Kickstarter. You also had Bleeding Hearts from Vertigo. You had Descent of Holes from Boom Studios. And then Just Brutal from Ignition Press. And then Barbarian blah blah from Mad Cave. The only thing I wanted to point out too is Ignition Press is doing the same thing that freaking Boom is doing with the numbers. So in a regular comic, the 5-digit, if it's an issue 1, it should be 00111.
The barcode thing, yes.
The barcode, yes. So what Boom is doing is they do 01011.
Yeah.
So basically, the 3 ones are first issue, first cover, first print. But if you read the barcode the way that they have it, this would be issue 10, cover A, printing 1.
Yeah.
Damn you, Boom! And now Ignition Press is following the same foot. Dude, don't follow them. Don't do that. It's not nice. Off of that. All right, cool. So those are your books for this week. Really cool stuff, guys. Get to your local comic book shop. Check them out. Also, Project Shadow Breed number 2. It's going to be coming out or going live with our campaign the very beginning of March. So make sure you go over to projectshadowbreed.com. That'll take you right to the Kickstarter page or the campaign launch page. And then you can actually just sign up so that when it does go live, you'll get notified. We're really excited about this issue because we have a really awesome character being entered in called the Persuader. And yeah, he can be very, very, very persuasive. So yeah, go over to projectshadowbreed.com and go ahead and check that out. All right, that's going to bring us to the end of this episode of the Indie Comic Review. So if you like what you heard, subscribe to the podcast, like, comment, invite as many people as you know to come listen to us every Monday live at 1 p.m. If you're a creator, want to be on the podcast, want to show talk about yourself and or a project you have coming up, go to indiecreatorcomics.com, click on the podcast form link, fill it out. John and I would love to have you on. We have, I think, probably 4 more guests lined up. So we're starting to really pick up, which we're really excited about. So look out for those guests that we'll be talking to over the next couple of weeks. If you're on social media, which everybody is, Indie Creator Comics, you can find us everywhere. And then last but not least, please, please, please support your local comic book shops, because without them, we would not be able to do what we love to do, and that is talk about comics. John, where do you get your comics from?
Well, I get my comics at The Joker's Child in Fair Lawn, New Jersey, where not only do we carry and support your big two, as well as your Images, your Dark Horses, and your Mad Caves, and your Ignitions, and what have you, but we also support local indie comic creators. So if you're a local indie comic creator and you've got something that you want us to take a look at, you can always pop on down to The Joker's Child in Fair Lawn, New Jersey, and we'll see if we want to carry your book. And if we're not in the area or don't plan on being in the area, seek out your local comic shop, bring them your self-made comic book, ask them to take a look at it and see if they want to carry it and give you the support as well. Because gosh darn it, we all love comics and we all love seeing new, diverse, and wonderfully fantastic, motivated individuals out there doing their own thing.
Absolutely. All right, gang, until next time, we want to thank you for joining us on the Indie Creative Comics Podcast, where we are all about independent comics.